right? You have a lot of turnover, possibly. Kelsey may be finished.
Where I'm looking up average life expectancy. I'm dreaming at this point. Like, I can't. I'm done with the season.
What's the next evolution of Pat Mahomes? And it's weird to be talking about a guy like, what's the next evolution of Pat Mahomes, and he's not 30. You could be anywhere doing anything, but you're hanging out with us, and we appreciate that. So wherever you're listening and however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Gameplan Podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin, TSM again, on the artist formerly known as Twitter, at Alex Goodwin, TSM. That's T as in tacos, S as in sangria, M as in margaritas. Kennedy Miller, my dog.
What's happening, my dog? How you doing?
Man, I am doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Ken, where can the folks find you on Twitter, man?
Find me on Twitter at underscore Kennedy Miller underscore. Again, that is underscore Kennedy Miller underscore.
All right. Ken, I said T as in tacos. I possibly should have said T as in like taco, right? Or S as in, maybe M as in, just some straight moonshine. Because that's what I think a whole lot of Cowboys fans right now need, right? They need to pick me up, right? Because y'all just traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. So Kennedy Miller, you are one of the biggest Cowboy fans that I know. Loyal, diehard Cowboy fans. Like never leave. Well, I feel like you will never leave the Cowboys nor forsake them. This is a marriage damn near, Kennedy Miller. So, Mr. Miller, this trade went down about 4.5, 5 hours ago. So how are you feeling this Thursday evening now that your Dallas Cowboys no longer have Micah Parsons? How do you feel, Mr. Miller? Again, the therapy couch, it's here. Tell us how you feel, sir.
The more time that's passed from it, I feel better about it. The one thing I will say that I don't approve of is sending him to Green Bay. Out of all people, team that's been a thorn in our side for the last 2 decades. I mean, 2014, 2016, 2023, right? They've knocked us out of the playoffs. So that I don't approve of. Like, don't send him anywhere in the division, and don't send him to one of our rivals. Like, clearly, we have not learned from the whole Saquon Giants Eagles thing here. Like, clearly, we have not learned from that. But I have no problem trading Micah Parsons. Would I have paid him? I would have tried to get a deal done, but I have no problem trading him. Another criticism I guess I would have is I think if they were going to do it, then they probably should have done it before the draft. Maybe you can get some better offers. Maybe you can have teams trying to come up with some deals. Because do I think somebody could have overpaid, maybe given another first-round pick for Micah Parsons? Sure. Also, you could look at it, though, as maybe they weren't pleased with this draft. Maybe they didn't think that this draft was a good one. And obviously, the next 2 years, people are assuming, especially next year, people are assuming that draft is going to be really good. So maybe that's what they were looking at. I look at the Khalil Mack trade, and he went for 2 firsts, a third, and a sixth, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
2 firsts, a third, and a sixth. This trade is 2 firsts and a 3-time Pro Bowler. I mean, I think Kenny Clark is good. I think he's going to be good for us. I think he's the best, at least on paper, he's the best D tackle we've had in at least a decade. Like, this move obviously is for Micah Parsons, but it also shows that, like, Mozzie Smith is done. That's one of the few failures that the Cowboys have had in the first-round pick selection over the last 10 or so years. So they're moving on from Mozzie. It helps kind of shore up our rush defense, which has been horrible, right? Maybe keep some of those linebackers clean. They don't have to really teams hopefully won't be able to get to the second level as much with him down there. He's 29 years old. He turns 30 next month. So, and apparently he was dealing with a toe injury, last year, which contributed to a down season. But I think he's a good player. obviously time will tell about the draft picks. We don't know how we will be, but I mean, the reality is we weren't going to win the Super Bowl anyway. We weren't going to win the Super Bowl with Micah Parsons. We weren't a Super Bowl contender with Micah Parsons. Our defense wasn't elite with Micah Parsons. So we didn't feel comfortable trading him. Paying him. What did he make? $47 million?
It's going to be $47 million annually. Yes.
$47 million. Which somebody on Twitter did the numbers for $47 million in Green Bay after taxes and $40 million in Dallas after taxes. It's a $900,000 raise. So I mean, best of luck to him in Green Bay, but we kind of talked about it. I like Micah Parsons a lot. I was very high when he first started, his rookie year. I thought that he was the next Lawrence Taylor. And then it just kind of, like, he's good. He's had good games against, like, the Giants and against the Commanders when the Commanders were bad. My thing is, though, when we were in those primetime games, I was left looking for more from him. I expected to see more. He's a good player. He's one of the best players at his position. He's one of the best players in the NFL. But I've watched 4 playoff games, including Green Bay, coming to Dallas as a 7-point underdog when we had 7 Pro Bowlers and they had none. And we were down 27-0 at halftime. Like, I watched him play San Francisco 2 years in a row. I see the impact that Nick Bosa's having on the other side. And I'm looking for that same impact from him. Like, I feel like teams started to he burst on the league. He burst onto the scene in the league. You know, he's an athletic freak, running past guys. He's super quick, speed rusher, right? But then teams started running the ball towards him. And, like, again, Micah Parsons was on that defense that the Saints shredded in week 2 last year.
Yeah,
he was on
2.
that defense. He was on that defense when the Ravens ran for like 240 yards last year. Like, he was on that team. Like, again, he's a good player. Maybe he'll do better. Maybe he'll do better in Green Bay. But in 4 playoff games, he's got 1 sack. He's got 1 sack. And that came with 2 minutes left against the Buccaneers.
I mean, that really don't count at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, this
That's
is
what I'm
garbage
saying.
time.
They went 8-9. It was garbage time. We had already won the game. That means nothing. And so that's what I'm looking at. Like, again, I would have tried to get a deal done, and I think they did try and get a deal done. But at the end of the day, now we have 4 first-round picks for the next 2 years. We've cleared out cap space. I think we're second in the league now in cap space. We got like $47 million. Jerry's kind of hinted at maybe using those picks to trade for somebody else. I don't think they're going to trade for anybody else. But that money can now be spent to pay Tyler Smith, to pay George Pickens, to pay some other guys. Like, we'll see. Like, we can't say if it's a win or a loss for the Cowboys or for the Packers. Like, we just have to see. Because also, like, Micah don't really strike me as, and I think he's already said, like, he don't plan on playing, like, in his, like, 30s. Like, he don't strike me as a guy that's going to be in this game for, like, 10 to 15 years. And again, I'm not sure. I think he'll like, I really don't know how much he'll like Green Bay.
Who the hell would like Green Bay?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't know how much he will like Green Bay. Like, it was getting kind of set up like he was going to be one of those, like, Cowboy lifers. When he retires, Jerry got all this stuff for him. Green Bay ain't got no owner. They ain't got no owner. Go do your podcast in Green Bay. I wish him the best of luck. I think Green Bay should be considered one of the favorites now to win. But I'm not losing sleep because we lost Micah Parsons. And also, like, this is my last point. If Kenny Clark comes in and does what we think what he's projected to do, you got they signed Dante Fowler, who led the Commanders in sacks last year with 10.5, 11 sacks. I think Odigizua will be better now being a second D tackle than being the leading D tackle with Kenny Clark. And then Sam Williams, who he ain't Micah Parsons, but he's a solid speed rusher. If he can go back to what he looked like pre-injury, it's not a bad D line. It's not a bad D line. Like I said, I think the Cowboys are going to be better than what people thought. I was saying that with Micah Parsons in mind. Like, I don't think they'll beat Philly now the first week, but I do think they'll surprise some teams. I'm not too upset about them losing Micah Parsons.
So basically what you're saying is the sky isn't inherently falling. And maybe if the
No,
sky
it's
is
not.
falling, you
No, the
can't see
sky's
it
not.
right now.
The sky's not falling. No.
I think for me, there's a couple of things that you kind of like spoke to that like, so like for me to start off, right? Like, do I think this makes the Cowboys inherently better? The Cowboys are a worse team at 9:47 than they were at 9:47 a.m. Right? They are a worse team because Micah Parsons isn't there, right? And I think for me, for Micah Parsons, it's not just what Micah Parsons can produce because this guy's on a Hall of Fame trajectory as a pass rusher, right? It's also the gravity he creates for other people. So like some of the like advanced numbers, like there's this thing called EPA per play. So when Micah Parsons is on the field for Dallas, Dallas is first in EPA per play. When he's off the field, Dallas is dead last by a pretty wide margin, right? So it's kind of like this thing, Ken, with like LeBron James. It's not that just LeBron James can give you like 29 points, right? It's also the gravity and the attention that he draws from the defense, right? It's that same sort of thing with Parsons, right? He can create more opportunities for other guys on your line, possibly for your backers, right? He creates more opportunities for them to play really freely, right? Because everybody's so worried about him, right? And I think Kenny Clark's a good player, right? But is Kenny Clark, and I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get a couple of other edge rushers, some of the guys you mentioned, Sam Williams, some of those other guys, are those guys going to be able to, in some or individually, approximate for the value that Micah Parsons created on the field? Probably not,
Probably not.
right? And so for me, I'm looking at Jerry Jones and for me, I think this is crazy to me, right? And the reason I'm saying this is kind of crazy to me is that you draft a guy in the first round in the hopes that 4 or 5 years later you can give him a bag. Because to me, what that means is you did a good job identifying, drafting, and developing your players, right? But time in and time out, Jerry drags this out, right? To the detriment of his own football team, right? And for me, what I mean by that is he drags these contract negotiations out, in my opinion, to stay in the headlines through the dog days of summer, going into the season, right? Jerry wants to constantly be on the minds of folks who do podcasts like we do, these radio shows, right? These morning talk shows, to the detriment of his own team, right? Like he could have gotten a deal done before that Myles Garrett deal got done. Theoretically, he could have gotten a deal done with Dak Prescott before the price of the brick went up last summer, right? But these things have dragged out, right? CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, the same type of thing. But eventually he gets these deals done. For me, there was never a thought in my mind that he was not going to get this, like this was not going to get done. Because for me, I'm
I
always
agree.
thinking Jerry Jones is playing this. This is some sort of like WWE type of thing. This is a work. That's constantly the way I've seen this with Jerry. Like, this ain't serious. Jerry playing. Jerry just playing. Right. Now, I knew Micah wasn't playing because Micah wanted his money. Right. But Jerry's dragging this out. And I would just continue to think as we get closer to the first week, this deal going to get done. Probably, I thought the deal was going to get done. What? Today's the 28th. I thought the deal was going to get done like Labor Day. All right. Deal
Yeah,
done.
I thought he was playing week 1.
Right.
Sure.
Right. And we're done. Right. Like, this is done. This is over. Fun story. Now it's time to play football. Typical Jerry. But that's clearly not what happened here. And in my head, I'm thinking, in some ways, Jerry Jones is much more concerned with like being the center of attention, right? Being all in the videos, all on the records, Hanson, than he is about having a really good football team. So the other thing for me, Ken, is like I watched Jerry's press conference this evening, and Jerry said something to the effect of, we really need to prioritize, being able to stop the run and all these other sorts of things. These things will help us be a better team overall. When did you just figure that out? Tonight? Did you just wake up, get a wild hair in your ass and figure that part out? Because I could have told you that. We all watched them get run over by the Lions and by the Saints and by the Packers in the playoffs. We knew this 18 months ago. Did you just figure this out now? Right? And if you just figured out that possibly trading Micah Parsons might be a possibility, like you mentioned, why didn't you do this in April? When you could have gotten a lot more for him. You could have gotten more picks for him. You could have gotten possibly 2 1s and a couple of 3s and a 4. Who knows? But for me, what Jerry kind of said this evening, you know what that kind of reminded me of? Nico Harrison. That's what it reminded me of, right? When Nico got out there at that press conference, knowing people were furious and was talking about, defense wins championships. Now, you're not wrong, right? But it feels like you're trying to come up with some reason to justify your foolishness. Because that's, 31 other owners would have paid Micah Parsons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what are you doing, right? And Ken, I've talked to a few other Cowboy fans this evening. They're furious. They are not nearly as calm and woosah about this. They're not doing just fine. They are pissed, right? I've seen a couple of people talking about they're entering the fan transfer portal, okay? And most of them are from Dallas. And I gotta give my Dallas people, we need to send them some like free therapy. We need to send them folks something. What is it called? BetterHelp? You heard of BetterHelp, Ken?
Yes, I've heard
right.
of that.
We need to send them some like free trial subscriptions to BetterHelp because they done traded Luka and Micah Parsons in the span of what, 6.5 months? Ken, what do you think them folks in Dallas would do if the Wings traded Paige Beckers?
Oh, they are already sick. Like I don't know what they would do. But like I get it, but I don't think like Micah's personality, his charisma, that was like a Dallas like he was a Dallas Cowboy. Yeah, he was a Dallas Cowboy. But I don't think it's of the magnitude of Luka being traded. Like he's on obviously he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. But again, like this being a fan now, this being a real fan, when I needed him most, he just didn't do enough.
Could I say that about your entire team, right? Could I say that about your quarterback? Could I say that about your best receiver? I can say that about the whole team. I don't think that's inherently, and not a Micah Parsons like truther here, but right, like the whole team fell apart. Right.
Sure. But the whole team not asked for $48 million.
Dak got 60, right? Like
no,
I get what you're saying.
I didn't think Dak should make that money. Like I thought he should be paid. I didn't think he should make that money.
I mean, I think I'll say this about like somebody like Dak. I think like the quarterback thing, quarterbacks go for, you got to pay a whole lot of money to get average, right? Like that's going rate for average, right? They are clearly what, we could go through it much later, but there are several quarterbacks that we would all say we would take before we take Dak Prescott, right? Micah Parsons at $47 million. Like, we all clearly understand that dude is probably the best pass rusher in the league, right?
No.
Well, I'll say this. Like I said, you can quibble. We've talked about this before. We can quibble about him, Myles Garrett.
Nah, he's probably the best. He's probably the best young pass rusher in the league. He's probably the best young.
So I think we talked about this a couple months ago. I said we can quibble about who's better, Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons. I'm like, what gives Micah Parsons a whole lot of leverage is that he's 4 years younger.
Yeah, he's very fast. He is a pure speed rusher. Like I mean, God-given athleticism, flying to the quarterback, and got great closing speed. But like Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, Bosa, MAGA Bosa, you know what I mean?
I would say not Joey no more. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say Joey. I wouldn't.
with
I wouldn't look. I wouldn't say
not
Joey.
Joey, but Nick. Like sometimes Micah can get overwhelmed by those like big tackles, right? Because if he can't get around them, then like he really has nothing else. And then when they chip him, because of his stature, like he can get worn down throughout games. And like you said, are we a better team today after that? No, we're not. Do I think the sky is falling? No, I don't.
So, like, let me ask you this question: like, in like the history of sports trades, are you kind of thinking of this in a similar sort of way as I did 7 years ago when the Spurs traded Kawhi for DeMar DeRozan? Because I think you called me when the trade went down. You were like, Alex, how you feeling? And I was like, I don't know, man. I think this is the best we could get, given we have a distressed asset on our hands, given the fact that we're not trying to rebuild inherently. Right. So we
Mhm.
got DeMar DeRozan, who's a good player, not a great player. Like, did we get worse? Like swapping out just a straight 1-to-1 DeMar for Kawhi? Yes. Are we going to be terrible next year? No. I think that San Antonio team won like 48 games that year and took
Yeah, they made the
a,
playoffs.
a young Denver team to 7. Right. So it
They
was like,
made
all
the
right,
playoffs. Yeah.
this is a good team. Right. With Kawhi, this team could have been great. Right. So with like Dallas, initially, we thought like, okay, George Pickens, we were thinking, all right, this might be a 9-win team, a 9-10 win team, somewhere around there, like 9-8, 10-7, depending especially on how that back end of the schedule goes. Does your prediction for this season, like, has that changed, Kennedy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll drop it about a game or two because again, like defense wasn't going to be our calling card. Like it was going to be like Dak can maybe throw for 4,500 yards this year with George Pickens and CD Lamb. Like, and if the defense can just hold up enough, like if Dak plays a full season, most of the time he usually does get you around 7 wins, 7, 8 wins. And so that's where I'll say now. Instead of 9-10, I'll say about 7-8. But
So, like, not a playoff team, but a team that's one of those like in the bubble for the playoffs, but we know they ain't really gonna make it.
correct. Yeah, I don't think after that, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. And honestly, like another thing I'll say about Micah Parsons, because I don't think like the Cowboys didn't try and get a deal done. Like, Jerry said that they had an offer, of course, trying to do it without an agent.
Which is
So
shiesty as hell.
yeah, you shouldn't do that. But they did try and offer him. It did not work. There were reports that he might like, it was an MRI on the back and getting a second opinion. There are reports he might try and avoid the weekly fine, the game fines by saying some back injury. Well, if that's the case, then he does need to be traded.
And we talked about this several weeks ago when Micah initially made the trade request. I think we both were like, all right, man, he just venting, right? Like, you
Yeah.
know how we talked about it, like, for those our listeners out there, y'all who have seen Bad Boys 2, when Marcus was out there talking about telling Mike, I might not always be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, man, I didn't think you were serious about that transfer and stuff. I just thought this is how you dealt with it, right? We thought that was just how Micah was dealing with it. And besides, like with football, it's very rare for a player in their prime to be traded like this, right? Most times in football, the only time a great player becomes available is when they're not great anymore, right? There's not like
Mm-hmm.
there isn't like a history of like a great player in their prime demanding a trade and typically getting it, right? Deshaun
Mm-hmm.
Watson was going to be one of them, and then everything else happened, right? But typically, because of the way it works, right, you have 2 franchise tags, right?
So that was another thing that I was gonna say.
Right. It's like they would have had the opportunity to tag him twice, and he would have
Yeah.
still possibly played the last year under the rookie deal, right? So which was the shock. And I told you, Ken, then I was like, I don't think this is think there's much to do about nothing. You know, you can ask for whatever you want. It don't mean you're gonna get it. Ken, a couple weeks
Correct.
ago, I was looking at houses on Zillow, right? And I seen somebody ask for $20,000 for what looked to be an old slave cabin. Right. Excuse me, it wasn't $20,000. They wanted $85,000 for what looked to me to be a one-room old slave cabin. And I'm like, I'll be damned. Right. People, you can ask for whatever you want. It doesn't inherently mean you're going to get it. And I was like, the only way Micah Parsons is going to be able to force his way out of town is if he's willing to show his ass. Right. If he's willing to get ignorant, like summon the spirit of James Harden and really show up and show out day in and day out. That was the only way I was like, they're going to get him out of town if he's willing to do that. And it didn't seem like he was willing to do that. Yeah, man.
And I, if that is true though, if he was gonna do the back thing to
It's
use
time
to not play, then yeah, like you got to go. But you know, that was like what you were saying. That's what I was saying. Like, okay, if you're not feeling comfortable giving this money, like obviously it's good business to go ahead and get it out the way. Like you said, they could have got it out the way before Myles Garrett and stuff. But like, okay, what is to say? I want you to prove that you're worth it. Like, I still theoretically got you for 3 more years. Like, play out your rookie deal. Like, show me that you worth this money, and let's see.
But I think here's, for me at least, the issue with that is this, right? You didn't make Zeke play out the last year of that rookie deal, right? You didn't make CeeDee Lamb play out the last year of that rookie deal. He didn't make Trayvon Diggs play out the last year of that rookie deal, right? We go on and on and on, right? And
Trayvon
Micah
Diggs might be
Parsons,
next.
next to go, it wouldn't be it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me,
Yeah,
right?
he might be
Like
next.
you didn't make all those other dudes play that last year of the rookie deal, and Micah Parsons is a better player than all of them, right? One of the best players at his position, right?
Yep, he is.
You didn't make the rest of them dudes do that. The rest of them dudes were some of the best players at their position. CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, right? Trayvon Diggs, right? What's right? Like, that's why to me, I think this is so shocking, because I think I just didn't see a scenario where Micah Parsons will be playing anywhere else, right? I just didn't. And for me with Jerry, right? And it did not seem like this went over well in the building with the players, right? It really didn't. And, you know, you mentioned, you know, you have 4 first-round picks in the next couple of years, all of this cap space, right? When's the last time Jerry really made some moves in free agency, right? When was the last time? So Jerry will have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years. And let's say they hit on these 4 guys, right? What's Jerry going to do? Play hardball and do some more bullshit like this, right? Just for him to act like this? You know what I mean? Like, that's the part where I'm like, to what end? Right? And Jerry playing the long game and he 111. Like, he don't have to, you know, I ain't wishing death on the man, but what, he's 84?
He's something, yeah, in his 80s.
I mean, the way this works, this ain't Tuck Everlasting. Shout out to all of y'all who did the summer reading in like 6th, 7th grade. This ain't Tuck Everlasting. You ain't gonna live forever, brother. Right? Like, you better get while the getting is good. Right? And I don't know how you feel about this, Ken. I've heard some people tell me they are done with the Dallas Cowboys until the day Jerry Jones goes on to glory. I'm guessing
and then you're
not.
going to have Stephen Jones. So, like, this trade is either going to go one of 2 ways. It's either going to lean more towards being like the Herschel Walker trade, or it's going to lean more towards being the Charles Haley trade, which, for those that did not watch the Dallas Cowboys documentary, it was fantastic, by the way. Jerry Rice said on that documentary, trading Charles Haley to the Dallas Cowboys was probably the worst thing that we could have done. And that's how I feel. Either it's going to be a Charles Haley move that benefits the Packers greatly, or maybe we can get some good role players out of this. We are a very top-heavy team. We lack a lot of depth. We have holes in different areas. Like, our O-line is young. Linebackers are fairly unproven, right?
And hurt.
Our defensive backs would be better. Our defensive line, obviously, now we could get some more. We could use a pass rusher now. I mean, because that's what we need. But I don't know. I didn't have Super Bowl hopes anyway. That's how I felt about Micah before this. I liked him. I thought he should get some money. He's earned a contract. He's earned a big deal. But tell you the truth, like put it to you like this: last year, if they did this to CeeDee Lamb, it would have been a rant on here. I would have been fuming on here actually. But like, good luck in Green Bay. I just hate that he's going to that. Like, send him to Buffalo.
Send him to Atlanta.
Yeah, no, not even in the comp. Send him in the AFC. Get him away. But of course, we play in week 4. It's gonna be TVs and like drama and all this. Like, man, if you're gonna trade somebody of that caliber, get him away.
But that's what Jerry wants. Jerry wants the TV. Jerry wants to look at me though. But that's my thing. That's what he wants. Like, Jerry clearly wants to be the star of the show, to the detriment of his own team. Right. And King, you know what you sound like when you're talking about Micah Parsons? You know who you sound like? You know who you remind me of? Kennedy Miller.
What I remind you of?
Charles McCarter. That's how you sound, Ken.
Man.
You sound like there's no easy way to say this, Micah, but this thing has run its course. It's over. That's that's how you sound. That's how you sound. I ain't saying you're gonna drag him out by his left ankle.
Yeah, man. I was shocked. I really was shocked that they traded him. I was so, like, I did not see that happening. I was so ready to get the notification that he got paid, right? That he was going to be ready for week 1 against Philly. And I know they probably, like, the players are probably not taking as well. So, like,
would you?
Probably not. But he doesn't, like, he also doesn't give me like locker room leader. Like, I think he's got a voice, but I don't see people I don't see him like galvanizing the troops. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't strike me as that.
So, like, kind of what you're saying is, like, this isn't a situation where, like,
we lost our voice.
Right, like, like, I still watch WWE. Ken, I don't know how tapped in you are anymore, right?
Not at all.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, this is the best.
I still watch old clips, though. I still watch old clips.
I mean, I know we still talk about them Jim Ross clips all the time. We do. But, like, Ken, I'm telling you, man, like, this is the best the product's ever been. This is... Hey, look, this is, like, and it's hard for me to say this because our childhood wrestling was so great. This is a bit better. The only thing that would make it better is if we had good old JR on commentary. That's the only thing that would make it better, right? But, like, in wrestling with the Montreal screw job, right, with Bret Hart, the big thing about that was Bret Hart held Vince McMahon down through, like, that really weird down period, right? And Vince gonna do one of the leaders of the locker room like this, right? And so dudes like Undertaker and other dudes like that were like, yo, if he gonna do him like this, yo, I might need to roll up out of here, right? Maybe Micah isn't at that place, right? But he's certainly a guy where you're like, yo, at minimum, this dude was going to help us. There were going to be a couple of games that Micah Parsons was going to be able to end.
Yeah, he would make an impact. He would make an impact then.
Right, that you won't be able to end now. Like, there's going to come some situations against Philadelphia, going to come a situation against Washington, right? Possibly against Kansas City or some other spots where it's going to be like, damn, it would really be great if you had Micah Parsons right here. Like, somebody that can just get to the ball. Boom, in the game, right? Like, but that won't be there now, right? So if you're Dallas, and we're going to say this to wrap up, Ken, would you consider this at this point a soft rebuild?
Yep. So, and that was the last thing that I was going to say. If this is what you're going to, then you might as well go all in, right? Don't halfway, don't like ease into it, right? I would be looking to shop Trayvon Diggs, right? Get some more picks. Obviously, like, I'm not going to rebuild with the highest paid player in the league. Like, at some point, there's going to have to be a transition into that because it's supposed to be what? Some people say it might be like 5 quarterbacks in the first round next year, right? Then the year after that, I mean, you got what's my boy Jeremiah Smith,
Ryan
coming
Williams,
out. Yeah,
Ryan Williams, Ryan Wingo.
So, like, you got an opportunity looking ahead to really add some talent, bring some talent in that locker room. If this is what you're trying to do, if this is what the rebuild that you're trying to do. And I think they'll see how these first couple of games turn out and then kind of go from there. But I mean, you end up getting, if you rebuild, you'll get what? Top 10 pick, top 10 pick. And then you got a pick that's probably going to be in the 20s from Green Bay. I want to say, oh man, I had just seen a list. It's only been 2 times in the 2000s where the Cowboys have had 2 first round picks, and they were showing who they were. Oh man, what were those 2 players? So 05, they had the 11th and the 20th pick. They got DeMarcus Ware and Marcus Spears, which not bad. And then 08, they got Felix Jones at 22, Mike Jenkins at 25 corner.
Not bad.
So it's not bad. Like just role players, but except for DeMarcus Ware, which we said this earlier before the show. I done seen DeMarcus Ware wreck some big time games. Micah Parsons has better stats, but like impact for impact, I'm still taking D Ware right now.
Oh, no, I get you. It was very funny today. The homie Lamar Gafford, friend of the show, he and I were talking a little bit earlier this afternoon, and he said, like, Micah Parsons is on that, like, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor type of trajectory. And I was like, all right, now the only way he could possibly be, like, on that Lawrence Taylor is if he started doing heroin or smoking rocks.
Yes, and still playing at a high rate, because that is insane.
Like, again, can you imagine if Micah Parsons started doing heroin? Can
What did
you
they
imagine?
Say? The best linebackers kind of have to be a little crazy.
We'll see. Oh, one more thing before we go, Ken. So you were talking about rebuilding. So I want to make sure I get this right, Ken. Are you advocating for the Dallas Cowboys trading Dak Prescott?
I want to see how the first couple of games go. Like if they get, because like we talked about the schedule, right? They can get off to a very advantageous start. Like there's a scenario where they can be like a 4-2, 5-2 team, right? Obviously, we were saying this with Micah Parsons. But if they start like 1-4, what are we still trying to compete for? Because you might as well just get your pick as high as it can be and then go from there. But again, if we're bringing in this influx of youth, why am I paying this 32-year-old highest money in the league quarterback when we ain't winning with him? So we might as well start over. It's just like Troy Aikman said. Jerry was learning the business in my prime. He wasted my years learning the business. He still don't all the way know it, but like Dak could go somewhere else and like be on a team. He could be on a contender. I don't know if they win, but he could be on a contender.
I mean, I am terrified to look at what that dead cap number would be for Dak Prescott. If the Cowboys did ultimately trade him, I'd be terrified to look, because I'm sure the number would be astronomical, right? But the Cowboys over the season on September 4th, a week from now, and Kennedy Miller, the heroin does not seem like it's hidden. It seems like you're Bubs and Johnny, right? Injecting baking soda, Kennedy Miller, injecting baking soda. This ain't even the good stuff. This ain't Lamar Gafford out on a Friday night hitting the hookah that is the Indiana Pacers. This seems to be some stuff that won't even get you high, right? Or if it does, it's barely getting there. This some Reggie is what I'm saying.
Fortunately, yeah.
And that is another episode of the Game Plan Podcast. Kennedy Miller, my brother, I appreciate you for joining us, man. Appreciate you for joining me, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
And for doing this on a Thursday, right? Emergency episode. We typically don't like to do these, right? But Kennedy Miller was so gracious, make some time out of his day, right? So Ken, where can the folks find you on the artist formerly known as Twitter, my brother? Because they were trying to find you because they were trying to find you earlier, dog.
Oh, yeah, I know. Find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _. Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
All right. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on Twitter, Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in Texans, S as in Seahawks, M as in Michigan. Again, folks, like, share, subscribe, follow the Gameplan Podcast on our official YouTube channel. Follow the Gameplan Podcast on our official Instagram at _ the Gameplan Podcast. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. For Kennedy Miller, my name is Alex Goodwin. This has been the Gameplan Podcast. We will catch you guys next time. Take it easy.